What's up, everyone, and welcome back to Cinematic Reviews. As always, I will be your host, Chris, and this is a show about all things movies and TV. Well, we come to the finale of the Gamerverse event with Free Guy as our featured film of the day. Today, it's been awesome. During this short little event, we'll probably do another gamer style event down the road with maybe some films that are based off of actual video games instead of the ones that we've been doing here, which were loosely based off of video games with more references than anything. But we will return to the Gamerverse down the road. I announced in the last episode of Marvel Friday that we will be doing a movie presidents event with White House Down, Olympus Has Fallen, and then capping off with Air Force One. So that's going to be a fun little event that we'll be doing next once we are done with this one. And then Friday, of course, we have another Marvel Friday with Spider-Man Homecoming. Also, on today's episode, we got a couple of more reactions and then one bit of news to cover. Very interesting one related around the James Bond franchise. We got a somewhat of a reporting of a possible offer in the air, so we'll cover that as well. And then we'll cap everything off like we always do with a bunch of rankings for Free Guy. Before we get into all of that, a couple of reminders at the top of the episode. You can watch the show every week at youtube.com/the Cinematic Reviews. You can also listen to the audio version on your favorite podcast listening service. Also, hit that subscribe, follow button. Helps the show grow a lot. Also, check out the social media pages on X, Facebook, and Instagram. Just search up Cinematic Reviews and you can find it there. Or you can look up Quantum Podcasts. You can find it there as well. Post a lot of the artwork from each and every episode, along with some news items going around Hollywood. So with that, let's head over to news and reactions for those two reactions and then that tidbit on the James Bond franchise. So we have yet another rumor around the James Bond franchise, of course, previously played by Daniel Craig. Now MGM and Amazon are looking for their next James Bond actor. And Jacob Elordi has hit the waves recently with a reported rumor that he has been actually offered the role. Jacob Elordi, of course, probably know him as Nate from Euphoria. He most recently is in Worthington Heights along with Margot Robbie. He's been in a bunch of things since his Euphoria debut. He's an interesting name. I think his name has been come up before, but it seems that he is the supposed front runner as James Bond, as the report suggests that he was actually offered the role by MGM and Amazon. So TBD on that. There's no real concrete proof that he has actually been offered the role. Just a rumor right now. But it will be making headlines, massive waves when they do finally cast the next James Bond to be the successor from Daniel Craig. There's been a lot of names attached to it. I know Tom Hiddleston has been attached. Tom Hardy. I think the top choice so far has been Henry Cavill. Idris Elba for decades has been linked to James Bond, but now he is a little bit too old, so he probably won't be in there. I know Benedict Cumberbatch has been brought up as well. Robert Pattinson, I believe his name has come up too. So basically any actor born in the UK has been linked to James Bond. So we'll see. This one in particular has been hit with a bunch of scrutiny because Jacob Elordi is actually Aussie. He is not necessarily a British actor. So if he does end up getting cast, it wouldn't be the first time that they've shifted from a British actor. Pierce Brosnan, of course, was not British. He is in fact Irish, if I do recall. But we will see what is at stake for James Bond. Let's see if there's any other names real quick. I don't see any other ones. He's been the most recent one so far to have been linked to it. But I think if they were to go with Jacob Elordi, it would basically confirm what all the rumors have been stating the last few years, is that they're going with a younger actor that they can tie for about 10 to 20 years. So I'm in favor of that one for sure. But we will see. I think we're gonna get a casting by the end of this year. When exactly that's gonna happen, I don't know for sure. But I think 2026 will be the year that we get the James Bond casting because it just keeps heating up every month as it goes on. And I'm sure Amazon and MGM are eager to start making some more Bond movies to help out with the yearly profit returns. So TBD on James Bond, but right now it looks like Jacob Elordi is the top choice, supposedly, for that role. Let's get over to the two reactions I have for you today. These are both 2025 films that I was finally able to watch this past weekend. Up first, we have Anaconda, starring Jack Black and Paul Rudd. This, of course, is another kind of reimagining of the 1990s version of Anaconda, which starred, of course, Ice Cube, Jennifer Lopez, Jon Voight. This one, like I said, Jack Black, Paul Rudd, Steve Zahn, Tandy Newton all show up in this one with some appearances from the original Anaconda, which was a nice surprise there. But this one kind of takes a little bit of a sidestep from the original movie. This is actually about a group of friends who are trying to make the next Anaconda movie with the supposed rights of it. But it turns out that Paul Rudd lied to the group, and Sony still owns the rights, and they are also there making a movie. So it's kind of a battle of the movie sets. But it's a really surprising huge hit for me. I think it's a very hilarious comedy to come out of 2025. I wish I would have seen this one in theaters. My sister and I actually watched this together. And we had a blast. It was actually a lot funnier than I thought it was going to be from the trailers last year. It looked like it was going to be pretty ridiculous. But no, we had a huge blast watching this past weekend, especially that part where you've seen it in the trailer, so it's not really spoiling anything. When Jack Black is wearing the supposedly dead pig on his back, but it turns out the pig was alive the whole time, and he's getting chased by the huge anaconda going around the Amazon there. So, but it's like I said, it's a surprise comedic hit for me. Looking at the popcorn rating, I gave it 3 popcorn buckets. I thought about giving it 4. I couldn't quite get it there. It didn't scream 4 popcorn buckets to me. So I'm going to sit there with 3, which is still a modest rating for it. Let's take a peek on what it briefly did at the box office. It wasn't in the theaters for very long because you can already buy it now. I think I spent about $15 on it. Eventually, it's going to hit one of the streaming services out there. But it came out on Christmas Day, $45 million budget, so pretty low. And it did make $133 million worldwide during its theatrical run. So it almost tripled its money. So it did make quite a bit of profit. And it's a pretty small movie, hence the $45 million budget. I mean, not a lot to go on. They're just kind of in the same area the entire time of the movie. But it was really, really funny. I enjoyed it a lot. Jack Black's great. Paul Rudd is great. Steve Zahn's hilarious as usual, and it's always fun to see Tandy Newton as well. I remember the first thing that my sister said when putting this movie on. She goes, "Wow, all these actors have gotten old," and it's true. Jack Black, Paul Rudd, Steve Zahn, Tandy Newton. They've been with us for decades now, and you can definitely tell the age has hit them hard in this movie. But it's still really, really great. And this is built on the comedy aspect of it, which is why I only gave it 3 popcorn buckets, because without the jokes or anything like that, this is a pretty small and not as entertaining movie. It's built around this cast and the fact that they were able to get Jack Black and Paul Rudd and Steve Zahn all together. It was just comedic gold. So for sure. So check out Anaconda today. You can only buy it right now. I don't think it's on any of the streaming services as of yet, but I'm sure one of them will pick it up, either Amazon or Peacock or one of those will grab it. So, but check it out today if you're able to. Then the next reaction today is one that I've been really wanting to see, and I was finally able to, thanks to Peacock. This is now streaming on Peacock. Is Song Sung Blue, starring Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson as Lightning and Thunder. They were the Milwaukee husband and wife. That was the Neil Diamond tribute band, or tribute experience, as Mike, aka Lightning, wanted to emphasize in the movie. This is a very lovely movie. I enjoyed the music a lot. Hugh Jackman, of course, a very beautiful singer from his days in both Broadway and Hollywood with Greatest Showman and Les Miserables. But he's terrific as Lightning. Kate Hudson is incredible as well as Thunder. Her character Claire goes through some dramatic experiences with depression as a result of her car accident of losing one of her feet. And then Mike, of course, aka Lightning, has dealt with his own demons in his past with his drinking. But they ended up finding each other through fate and formed this Neil Diamond tribute experience through Lightning and Thunder. And the movie, of course, centers around their relationship, their career experience. And one of those being opening up for Pearl Jam, which was a huge moment for their career. But they did a fantastic job at retelling this story that I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with. I wasn't this familiar with. I heard of Lightning and Thunder, but I'm not like a giant Neil Diamond fan. I mean, he's got some really great, incredible legendary hits. But just wasn't an artist that I was really drawn to. But I have heard of Lightning and Thunder. This was before my time, of course, but I did know of them by name, and I think they have a excellent cast in here with Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson. So check out Peacock with Song Sung Blue if you are a fan of anybody in this cast, or if you're just a Neil Diamond fan in general, or maybe you are a diehard Lightning and Thunder fan as well. It's a really good retelling of this story, and it's a very beautiful movie. For the popcorn rating, I did give it 3 popcorn buckets. It's a really beautiful movie, but it doesn't like blow your socks off, or it's not some masterpiece coming at you, but they did a really, really good job at retelling the story. So like I said, check out Song Sung Blue on Peacock today. So let's take a quick break before we get into our featured film of the day, Free Guy.
My name is Guy.
Sunday should be warm and sunny, just a scattering of drive-bys.
And I live in paradise. I've got a best friend.
This is the greatest cup of coffee of all time.
Oh! Mondays, am I right, Joe? You said it, Guy.
Yeah.
And I work at the bank.
Everybody's out on the ground!
I thought I had everything I needed. But then I met her.
Everybody down on the ground. Everybody except you.
Me?
It's just a...
Oh, please, I have a goldfish.
There's something inside you, Guy.
I want something inside me.
I expected you to just follow the rules, but you are so much more than that. Put these on.
Okay, fine.
Oh my God! What are these, trick glasses or something?
Guy, there is no easy way to say this. This world, it's a video game. You're not real.
Please stop my...
And the guy responsible for this world is going to destroy it.
You've met God?
Yes, he's an absolute troll.
Trolls exist. Buddy, if we're not real, doesn't that mean that nothing you do matters?
I am sitting here with my best friend trying to help him get through a tough time. Now, if that's not real, I don't know what is.
I know this world is just a game, but this place, these people, that's all I have. So I'm not gonna be the good guy.
Thanks, Guy.
I'm gonna be the great guy.
Well, enjoy your lifetime supply of virginity. Off you go.
This whole good guy routine is ruining the game.
Terminator.
It's the first time I've ever driven a car before.
I really wish you'd mention that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That actually hurt my hand.
We can save our world.
But we have to fight together. I don't know what's happening right now, but I love it. Time's up, bank teller. Nope. fight! I'm never gonna die!
So Free Guy is a movie that I've been wanting to do for the podcast for a while. It came out in 2021, so kind of in that COVID era, August 13th, 2021 to be exact. It had a budget of about $120 million, and it grossed over triple that, $331 million during its theatrical run. But then it just kind of blew up once it hit streaming afterwards. But this is a movie that I did see opening weekend because it just looked amazing. I'm a huge Ryan Reynolds fan. Taika Waititi is entertaining as well. He's, of course, you're familiar with him with directing a couple of the Thor movies in the Marvel Universe. He has lent his voice to Star Wars and some other movies that he has directed, like Jojo Rabbit. But here he lends his acting chops as well as his voice as Antoine, this evil CEO that has taken over Joe Carey's and Jodie Comer's video game. He bought out the rights, and now he has built his own game on top of that foundation. And so they have this big lawsuit headed there against him for their original game. The game in question is Free City. Right before it's kind of set in between. Free City has been a hugely popular game for the world, and now they are ready to. There are only a few, months away from launching Free City 2, which will permanently erase Joe Carey and Jodie Comer's previous original game from existence, because it'll now be a built from scratch. It wouldn't be built on their foundation, but Antoine was able to get that game greenlit because of the success of Free City, which was built on top of Joe Carey's Keys and Jodie Comer's Millie's original video game. Key is, of course, being the coder, and Millie being kind of the face and marketing of that video game. But Keys is kind of the mastermind behind the coding of their original game. But this movie in particular, it centers around mostly Guy, which is a NPC, a non-playable character for all you non-gamers out there. Guy is a bank teller who is apparently AI. He becomes sentient and realizes that he is in a video game, and he is kind of figuring out how to, accept that and move on with his virtual life as a NPC. This game is very similar to Ready Player One. There's a lot of similarities between that and that movie. That's kind of why I put these two movies as part of this Gamerverse event, because they're very similar. They're about a open world game that basically consumed the entire world. Like, everybody in the real world plays this game. It's hugely popular. It's not like one of the VR ones with the VR headset like Ready Player One was, but with the glasses, it's kind of like that. That's how you distinguish NPCs from players, is they're wearing glasses. And once a Guy figures out what these glasses can do, that's where he starts playing the game himself, and kind of confuses the world because they don't understand how an NPC is able to do what he is able to do. Well, that's because he's AI. Keys ended up building this character, this AI, based off of him and based off his relationship with Millie. That's why Guy has this kind of bond with Millie, because it is actually Keys showing his love for her. And that's another big part of this movie is the unspoken love between Millie and Keys, who are now kind of separated. Keys works for Antoine because he's trying to, stay afloat, not, become victim of a multi-million-dollar lawsuit, where Millie still believes in the game, believes that Antoine is an evil person, and she is fighting the good fight in suing Antoine for the original video game. And then once Keys figures out what's going on behind the scenes, he returns back to Millie on her side, and they go after Antoine with the help of Guy, which is basically Keys in a way. So you get two doses of Joe Carey in here in a way through Ryan Reynolds. But it's a fantastic movie. I really, really love it. The action, the comedy, brought to you by Ryan Reynolds, which is kind of his kind of niche lately. You know, ever since his days in Van Wilder and Waiting, he's built on his sarcastic humor. But it's very entertaining. He's great in here. Jodie Comer as Millie is fantastic. I absolutely love her. She's been in a few things over the years, like 28 Years Later, The Last Duel, Free Guy, of course. But we haven't really talked about her on the show at all. She was in Bike Riders. She was in Star Wars as Rey's mother. And that's pretty much all I know her from is from these very few roles of hers. But mainly Free Guy is where I know her from. And then, of course, The Last Duel as Marguerite in there. But she's fantastic in here. I love the Millie character. Her alter ego in the game is Molotov Girl, which they don't really refer to her as most of the time because she just pretty quickly tells Guy that her real name is Millie. But that's her gamer tag is Molotov Girl, which is pretty badass. Taika Waititi, of course, I said as Antoine. We've talked about Taika before. We're going to talk about him a lot when we get to Thor Ragnarok on Marvel Friday. But he's been, making waves with, Jojo Rabbit, like I said. The Thor movies, he directed 2 of them, Ragnarok and Love and Thunder. We've talked about Taika on the Love and Thunder episode, but we'll do a rewatch and talk about him again. But he's been a director that I'm not really a big fan of. I think he's more entertaining as an actor or voice actor. I mean, I respect what he did with Ragnarok as a director, but really I find him most entertaining as an actor / voice actor with Star Wars and with Free Guy in Marvel now. But he's really, really good as the kind of douchebag CEO in here. He's got his really thick accent in here from New Zealand, which is nice to see because he's got a great voice, and I'm glad that he gets to kind of spread his wings a little bit as a villain in here. You have Guy's buddy named Buddy by Little Ray Howley. I enjoy him. He's very entertaining. I think I first saw him in Get Out as Rod, Daniel Kaluuya's best buddy. And then when he popped up in Free Guy, I was like, heck yeah, that's Rod from Get Out. He's very entertaining as the security guard at the bank that Guy works at. Then Joe Carey, of course, we've talked about him from his Stranger Things days. We're going to be talking about him again once we do the Stranger Things event later on this year. But he's terrific in here as Keys. I already kind of touched up on him already as kind of the code genius behind the video game. And he's great. I love seeing him in here. I love seeing him in anything, but this is one of my favorite roles of his for sure. Steve Harrington will always be my favorite. I think he was terrific in Stranger Things, but this is definitely a close second as Keys and Free Guy. I wish he would do more like this, and I hope he does. I think his newest film, Cold Storage, with Liam Neeson, looks pretty good. I'm going to definitely see that because he is in there. I'm a huge Joe Carey guy. We also have some side characters as well. Revan Jammin' Buttons, played by Channing Tatum. He's only in 4 scenes, but he's very entertaining as your modern day streamer with his his catchphrases and things like that. But it's fun to see Channing Tatum in here. And then Mauser, which is kind of Keys's buddy, but not really buddy because he's in a tough spot where he's trying to keep his job. So he's kind of kissing up to Antoine, but then once he figures out what Antoine's all about, he goes back to Keys' side. And he's fun too. I've seen him in a few things over the years. Let's briefly take a look at his IMDb before we move on to a couple of the segments today. I can't even think of a single movie I've seen him in other than Free Guy, which is unfortunate. So he's currently doing Ghosts. I've never seen that show. He's going to be... King Boomy, he's in Last Airbender. Okay, so I remember him in there. Tick, Tick, Boom, he would play Todd. Free Guy. Oh, he was in the live-action Mulan. Interesting. I might have to rewatch that one. He lent his voice in The Simpsons. He was in Ride Along 2. Wow. And then he was in an episode of Key and Peele as well. He was in Pitch Perfect as Donald. That's where I know him from. So I first saw him in Pitch Perfect. I remember him now and there. But he's great too as Mauser. Not a whole lot to do in here. But once he realizes what Antoine's doing, he gets a little bit more to do in the story. Speaking of the story, like I said, there's a lot of similarities between Free Guy and Ready Player One. Mainly just the fact that this is a video game bringing the world together. I don't think right today we really have one of those. The closest one, probably GTA, which this movie is heavily based on. I'd say other than GTA, maybe like Fortnite or Call of Duty. But Call of Duty has kind of gone down here, and that's not really an open world game. So I think the best comp to this would probably be GTA. The entire world is waiting for GTA 6, which is kind of our version of Free City. Everyone's waiting for Free City 2. They're asking so many questions. There's a lot of bugs. That's what it sounds like is happening with GTA 6, is there's a lot of bugs. They're trying to round out the rough edges so that they have a perfect product come launch. So, yeah, that's a huge, huge similarity between Ready Player One and Free Guy with the Oasis and with Free City. Granted, Oasis is more of a VR game, open world VR game, where Free City is kind of, but you mainly play those on your PCs. Same thing with GTA, is mainly PCs and consoles. It's not really VR until they bring GTA to virtual reality, which I think would be the next step. And then at that point, that would change it to the Oasis. So maybe Rockstar for GTA 7 or GTA 8, maybe they're thinking, let's bring VR to it. I guess we'll see. But I just really wanted to point out that Free Guy and Ready Player One, as far as like the movies themselves, are pretty similar to each other, especially with, the Antoine character and the Ben Mendelsohn's character, the evil CEO that's trying to take over the video game, make it however they want to, just to make a profit. There's so many different similarities. And of course, there's a lot of references, just like Ready Player One did, to pop culture. You have Guy with the lightsaber versus Dude, obviously points to Star Wars. Guy with the Captain America shield versus Dude as well. You have Antoine destroying the servers, which is obviously The Shining, which Ready Player One, we had an entire level in The Shining. We have the Halo vehicles, the Scorpion tanks, and the Warhogs. We had Master Chiefs running around in Ready Player One, so that's another connection. The bank robber, one of the bank robbers had a biohazard sign and an RPD patch, obviously calling out to Resident Evil, which, fun fact, in Japan, Resident Evil is actually called Biohazard, which I didn't know until researching this game, or this movie. We have the Rainbow Smash pickaxe that Guy uses against Dude, obviously from Fortnite. Guy realizing he's in a video game. That's a clear call out to The Truman Show, starring Jim Carrey. Fantastic movie. We're going to do that on the show as well, probably in a Jim Carrey event. And then Guy with the Mega Buster at the Stash House, obviously from Mega Man. So that's only a few of the hundreds of references in this game. But it's funny that a lot of those things were pulled from Ready Player One as well. So a lot of references. Before we get into the iconic scenes, I just wanted to touch up on the director, Shawn Levy. We're going to talk about him a little bit more when we get to his top 5 films during the ranking segment today. And then, of course, when we get to Deadpool and Wolverine in Marvel Friday, we'll talk about him more as well. But he's a director that I'm really, really liking. He's done so many great movies. Deadpool and Wolverine's probably my favorite. But he has been involved with Stranger Things. He directed, let me get to his director here. He's done a lot of executive producing too. But I mean, when you make the movies you have, that's to be expected. The Adam Project, which we did on the show, one of the first episodes of the podcast. Free Guy, of course. Night at the Museum. This Is Where I Leave You. The Internship is fantastic. Real Steel. Date Night. What else he did? The Pink Panther with Lost my train of thought. Steve Martin, Cheaper by the Dozen with Steve Martin, Just Married, Big Fat Liar. Like he's got some heavy hitters in here, and it's gonna be tough to narrow it down to the top 5. But I'll go over those in the rankings today. But I really like his style as a director, like from when it comes to the action sequences, when it comes to the story itself. He likes to incorporate some romance into there, of course, with the Millie and Keys character. But he's a really great director, one of my favorites as of right now. And with him doing Deadpool and Wolverine, he's really shot up in my director rankings for sure, because he just did a fantastic job with that movie. So let's dive into some iconic scenes. Again, these are scenes. When you hear the title Free Guy, which scene comes to mind? So we have a couple of nominations here. Guy is chased by Keys and Mauser. This is a really fun scene, especially that part where they're running into that construction building, where Guy discovers that his shoes that he just bought has super jump. He gets 3 tries out of there. And then Keys and Mauser kind of, when they get to a point where they can't quite get Guy, they're like, okay, let's go God mode. And they start, taking pieces of the building and forming it however they want. It was a really cool effect. I like the first person action as they're walking up the steps. That was really cool. And then, of course, that chase scene ends with Guy launching off of the Skyfall, trying to reach the wrecking ball, but misses it. And we get the Miley Cyrus, wrecking ball music, which was great. I really like that scene. So, of course, I wanted to include that one. We also have Millie and Guy attacking the stash house. That's where we really get to get introduced to Channing Tatum's character. But I really like this one, and particularly because of Ryan Reynolds' facial expressions in this during the fight. It's got really cool action sequence. Starts off with Ryan Reynolds, crashing into the wall with the motorcycle, and just as a really cool action pose as, the guys are getting tripped up by the motorcycle. But we also get a really cool Jodie Comer action sequence where she's shooting the gun, she's fighting with her hands. But it's Ryan Reynolds' facial expression when he's watching Millie fight, and he's just infatuated with her. And I really, really, really like his facial expressions in the scene. Guy remembers everything. I threw this in here because it just kind of touches me in the heart a little bit, being, a little bit of a softie, where he gets basically rebooted in the middle of the movie, and then Millie has to make him remember that he knows what's going on. So she kisses him, and you get the great music cue, and you have the rainbow coming out of his head as if insinuating that the AI is being reactivated again. It's just a really, really, really romantic, sweet moment between the two characters. And then we have the guy versus dude fight, which is probably going to be the iconic scene of this movie. It's just got everything in there. You have the cameo from Chris Evans when he pulls out the Captain America shield, and the music hits from Marvel, and you have Chris Evans sipping his coffee, and he's like, what the shit, as he's watching, this NPC pull out a Captain America shield. We also get, the lightsaber sequence, which was great. You get the Star Wars music as he pulls it out. You get, the pickaxe from Fortnite again. But it's a really cool fight. Just a bunch of pop culture references. You have the Hulk fist, and all sorts of stuff. It's really, really cool, fun action sequence. And then the last one I have here is Millie realizing Keys loves her. Again, touching on, the romantic side of the story with Millie and Keys, and everybody is just like in the audience. Even Mauser even kind of does it where he just goes, finally. We're all just like, wake the heck up, Millie. Keys is obviously in love with you. And then she realizes, and I like that scene because of Joe Carey's performance in there, where he has that message to Millie explaining how he came up with the idea of Guy with the AI, taking pieces from his life, from her life, falling in love with a woman that likes bubblegum ice cream, that likes the same Mariah Carey, same order of coffee every day. It's kind of his love story, or his love note to her in a way. And it's really, really sweet, and it's really good. But I think the guy versus dude fight at the end is probably the most iconic scene in this movie, probably next to the million guy attacking the stash house. I think would be probably the second, but really great scenes. Couple of quotes here. I already kind of spoiled this one, but Chris Evans going, "What the shit," as he sees the Captain America shield. Dude, just saying catchphrase is hilarious because they obviously haven't finished, rendering him. So all he has is like catchphrase or, there's 3 things I like to do. 1 is kicking ass. 2, TBD. 3, input line here. He just they haven't finished rendering him. So he's kind of just half made. But that's pretty funny. This one from Guy, "Don't have a good day, have a great day." That's obviously his catchphrase in the game. Revan jamming buttons. I had to put this in here, but just because it's hilarious, but it's gross at the same time. "Mom, don't touch that sock. I swear to God, if you touch that sock, you will be in therapy for the rest of your life." "No, it's my special sock. Put it down." And this is funny too because it's part of this line is getting said by Channing Tatum, but it's also getting said by the actual gamer that plays Channing Tatum. So it was really good how they cut in and out of that with the one line. And then this one from Keys, "Code. It's not just zeros and ones. It's hidden messages. I like to think of myself actually as not a code writer, but an author. I just use zeros and ones instead of words." And that's what a lot of code people do. I work with one. He's really good at, codes and AI and stuff like that. And when he comes up with something, he feels like he's an author and he's really good at it. And a lot of these code writers are really good and they're authors in a way, just like he says, they're, instead of using words, they're just using zeros and ones, which is really fantastic. I mean, some of the video games are one of the best stories ever. I like to use the Marvel Spider-Man games right now. Probably the best Spider-Man story that I've ever, been a part of. And it's a video game that was written by zeros and ones. It wasn't written by words. Well, partially it was written by words because they had to write the dialogue in there, but you know what I mean. But it's fascinating. And then to wrap things up, we got some fun facts here about Free Guy. A map of Free City, the city that the game in the film takes place in, is actually a map of Portland, Oregon. The stash house that Jodie Comer's character wants to break into is shown as being located in Portland's Forest Park. The fictional Free City is based on Liberty City from Grand Theft Auto 3 and Grand Theft Auto 4. In turn, Liberty City was inspired by the real-life New York. So like I said, the Free City game in this movie is heavily influenced by GTA, which is why I think it's probably the one game that has brought our entire world together, just like Free City did and like the Oasis did in Ready Player One. As Guy progresses through the story, his stolen sunglasses become less oblique and the shape of the frames and lenses change until he is wearing glasses almost identical to Keyes' glasses, of course insinuating that Guy is actually Keyes. Jodie Comer admitted that the hardest part for her was to pretend to hate Taika Waititi because they got along very well on the set. Sounds like Taika is a very entertaining person on set, so him playing the villain had to have been very difficult for the cast to hate him. For Chris Evans' cameo in Free Guy, Ryan Reynolds called the actor and asked him to come in for 10 minutes to pay off a joke. Evans agreed and shot the scene, no questions asked. And then Sean Levy originally read the script in 2016 and then passed on it. He was persuaded to reconsider by his friend Ryan Reynolds. If Sean Levy would have passed on this and it was a different director, I don't think this would be an incredible movie like it is now. I think it needed that Sean Levy spice. And it sounds like Ryan Reynolds and Sean Levy are like really close together. They've done a lot of different movies, kind of like DiCaprio and Scorsese, in a way, or De Niro and Scorsese, however you want to go about it. So Sean Levy and probably, I guess, his Robert De Niro is Ryan Reynolds, and it works. When an actor finds his director, or when a director finds his actor, and it works, they do multiple projects. It's really cool to see that. But yeah, Free Guy is a fantastic movie. If you haven't seen it in a while, definitely check it out. It's really fun for the whole family. It's got a lot of pop culture references. Ryan Reynolds is incredible with his comedic beats and just the Guy character in general. Joe Carey is fantastic with his chemistry with Jodie Comer's Millie and their kind of unspoken love. And Taika is a pretty decent villain as Antoine. So check out Free Guy today if you have not in a while, or if you are totally new to it. It's an incredible movie. So let's wrap things up with the rankings today. So first up, we'll go through the top 5 Shawn Levy films. We'll get into the popcorn rating and then, of course, the gamer scale for Free City. So the top 5 Shawn Levy, starting at number 5, Real Steel with Hugh Jackman. Very entertaining movie of a former boxer, now robot boxer, as he kind of stumbles his way through life with his... Now he realizes he has a son, so he has to watch his son while also trying to make a career in robot boxing. But it's got a lot of really great action, really good story about family and the father and son dynamic. But it's really built on the really cool robot boxing scenes for sure. Number 4, The Adam Project. I'm a sucker for time travel, so this, of course, is in my top 5. Like I already mentioned before, this is one of the first review episodes we did on the podcast. Incredible movie. It's a Netflix original, so it's pretty much at your disposal. Definitely check it out. Ryan Reynolds is great. Zoe Saldana is great. Mark Ruffalo is awesome. I just really, really like the time travel aspect of it, and it's a really cool, different take on a time travel movie than we've had in previously, where the present Adam and the future Adam actually interact with each other. There's a lot of time travel movies where it's like, oh, if you interact with one of yourselves, it's gonna blow up the entire timeline. But in here, Shawn Levy's like, well, what would happen if we actually had the two versions of this character interact with each other and help each other out? And they did a really good job with the casting, and I just really, really like it. Jennifer Garner's in there as well, can't forget about her. Fantastic time travel movie, The Adam Project, number 4. Number 3, The Internship. Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson team up once again. They gone from crashing weddings to now crashing Google was the tagline for this movie, and I really, really like it. It's a great comedy. It's a great best friends story about how they're they were watch salesmen, then they end up getting laid off. So they're like, let's go try our shot with Google, in their customer service department as being, very people person. They're surrounded by 20-year-olds who, obviously have no idea how, middle-aged men handle life with being laid off. But it's a really, really awesome comedy movie with Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson, who are just absolutely incredible together. And then number 2, this is where I put Free Guy at. I thought about putting it at number 1, but number 1 is going to stay there for a while. But Free Guy at number 2 feels right. It's incredible. Love the game aspect to it. Love Ryan Reynolds. Like I said, I love the Millie and Keys unspoken love side of the story. And Taika is a pretty decent villain as Antoine. Awesome movie. Then number 1, probably no surprise here, Deadpool and Wolverine. It's my favorite Marvel movie. It's my favorite Ryan Reynolds performance, my favorite Hugh Jackman performance, my favorite Shawn Levy movie. It's just an incredible movie, and I can't wait to talk about it again on the show during Marvel Friday when we get to that movie finally again. But it's fascinating. If you haven't seen Deadpool and Wolverine since it came out, do yourself a favor and watch it again, and then watch it 20 more times, because it's just really, really awesome. Love the comedy, love the action, love the chemistry between Hugh Jackman and Ryan Reynolds. This is something we've been wanting for decades, and they finally did it, and it's awesome. So those are my top 5 Shawn Levy films. Next, let's go to the gamer score. This is a new segment for the Gamerverse event, where we rank the game in the movie, which would be Free City. We previously did Oasis. We did Scott Pilgrim, which was kind of a video game on its own, more of a, like a Street Fighter video game. And then now we have Free City. I'm giving it 4 controllers. This is a game that I would definitely buy and play myself. It's really, really awesome. Love the GTA aspect of it. I love GTA. GTA 5 was freaking incredible, and I can't wait for GTA 6. So I'm giving Free City in Free Guy 4 controllers. And then last, but certainly not least, the popcorn rating. I'm giving it 5 popcorn buckets. I thought about giving it golden popcorn buckets, but I couldn't quite get it there. I think it's just missing that little bit of a push to get it up there, but 5 popcorn buckets is pretty freaking amazing for this one. It's just not on that Deadpool and Wolverine level, which of course is a golden popcorn bucket movie. But 5 popcorn buckets is what I'm giving Free Guy, which feels right to me. So that is going to wrap it up for today's episode, and that'll wrap it up for the Gamerverse event with Free Guy, Scott Pilgrim vs. the World, and Ready Player One. So if you haven't seen the first 2 episodes of the Gamerverse event, go ahead and check those episodes out along with everything else that Cinematic Reviews has done. Looking ahead, like I said, we're going to do Marvel Friday once again with Spider-Man Homecoming. And then the next event we'll start next week will be the Movie President event with White House Down, Olympus Has Fallen, and we'll wrap things up with Air Force One. A couple of other events we'll be doing this year: the Hobbit trilogy. We have Power Rangers coming up, Stranger Things, like I mentioned already, Batman universe we're going to tackle. A lot of great stuff coming out this year in 2026, along with all those new releases like Scream 7, which comes out this Friday. So there'll be a episode as well next week for that review. We got Mario coming up. We've got Mandalorian Grogu. We got another Spider-Man movie finally coming up. Toy Story and Shrek 5 come out the same weekend, so we're going to have a Toy Story versus Shrek episode. And then, of course, Avengers Doomsday comes out in December at the end of the year, along with Dune 3. Very exciting. So lots of stuff coming in 2026. Check out Cinematic Reviews today. Also check out my other podcast, The End Zone Report. It's a football podcast I did this last year, brought to you by Quantum Podcast. So with that, later, everybody. Hope you have a good week, and we'll see you all next time on the show.